Globally, stock markets have been either stagnant or, in the case of Venezuela, rising parabolically. The most important point is to realize what has been the root cause of all of this dismal performance. A devaluation of our currencies has left the general public in a constant state of attempting to save themselves from drowning in this sea of poisonous debt. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Let's talk about global growth today. Let's talk about the IMF, China, and others, beginning with this right here. World Bank President told CNBC on Thursday that the biggest concern for world economic engine is the level of uncertainty, everything from political outcomes to the impacts of the Brexit. The uncertainty for us is really an issue because it impacts directly on economies in developing countries and almost always negatively. He also goes on to say, the root of all evil, as is suggested, is globalization. He says that's a fundamental misperception of how the world economy works, and essentially tries to go on to say globalization is good. Globalization helps economies around the world. I'll just interrupt just for a moment and say that it's good that we do trade with different cities, different countries all around the world. This is a good thing to do trade, but you do not have to implement globalized type environments like having NATO, for example. Why do you need a NATO if you have all these countries individually fighting on their own? Well, then, of course, they start, as Leon Panetta said, start to ask for approval from that supranational organization instead of their own governments. And this is what happens with globalization. We start to go above and beyond the fake elected governments and go into this deal, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And they try to, as things get worse, try to cede more and more power. It's a bad idea. So let's look at the next one. The state of American jobs, how the shifting economic landscape is reshaping work and society and affecting the way people think about the skills and training they need to get ahead. At the chart on the right side, how economic change is reshaping the workplace. Employment is rising faster in occupations requiring more preparation. And what I would say is become that individual who works with robotics, who works with automation, because those jobs are taken off. And I can see the factory jobs declining. I can see a lot of the service industries. Look at what's happening with, for example, Uber. You have all these drivers that now have these jobs. Perhaps they were cabbies before, but regardless, they may have these new jobs as a result of Uber. But immediately, Uber is already deciding to go to autonomous vehicles. Immediately. So they will get rid of the entire, all these different industries, whether it's the truck drivers, whether it is the taxi drivers, whether it's delivery services. They're going to be eliminated by automation and robotics. And what I would say is that, look, if you work on that side, you're probably going to do a lot better than on the ones being replaced. That's what I'll mention for this article right here. Moving on to the next one, as you look at Bloomberg article, the backlash against globalization is manifesting itself in increased nationalistic sentiment against the outside world and in favor of increasing isolation. Back to what I said at the beginning, essentially what we have here is lies, but we have this term of, isolation. And it seems to me that, for example, if you're not in favor of the EU, I know I have a lot of viewers from the EU, and I'm sure most people do not approve of the EU. They think it's a tyranny. They know the truth. And it's silly because before there was an EU, before there was a Eurozone, before there was a euro, there was trade. There was all sorts of trade going on between Europe. It's been going on a lot longer than all of these supranational organizations that they set up. But what we see here is a continuation of the past. And what they're trying to do is give up all of their power to the supranational organizations. They do so with the EU, they do so with the UN, they do so with the IMF, and all the others. And it doesn't surprise me to see every chance they get, they come out and spit out some of the garbage like this. All right, what we're seeing here, growth of 3.2% in 2015. The world's economy expansion will slow to 3.1% this year, rebounding apparently, which is not true. And what I would say is that 3.2%, I think that based on all these fake numbers, they can conjure up 3.2%. However, I really don't believe it. But of course, what we need to understand is we can look at the numbers all we want, but when we need to realize the truth, we need to simply, it's a matter of fact, what do we do with our savings? What do we do with our current investments? Do we sell? Do we buy? Do we move them? Do we spread them out geographically? Everything else. These are considerations. And regardless of what I see with GDP growth and the jobs numbers and everything else, I like to just take it to the basics. What do I have to do with my savings at this time? I constantly ask myself that question, and I hope you do too. Stuck in the slow lane, global economic growth remains subdued. You can see it here that they project off into the future that it will increase. However, we know the truth. And you could just see over these past few years, even with all of that QE put into the system, the stimulus packages, every country going at it at this time, and yet global growth has slowed significantly. And here's another chart to show you that, and in fact it's the reference for this video here. Global trade beta back to the very old normal. According to this one metric, a 4-year rolling sensitivity, also called elasticity, of the global real trade growth to global real GDP growth. And you can see in this statistic going back to 1955. It is incredible to see how many statistics have gone backwards in time instead of forwards. All of that so-called monetary easing has done nothing for global growth. And you can see that in this chart here, in the previous. And of course, we know that because of the details we see from Main Street, everybody is seemingly getting in worse shape. And then you have on the other end of the spectrum, secret Alpine gold vaults are the new Swiss bank accounts. And this is actually an interesting article. And you can see this basically very secretive locations in mountains. You have to go through mazes to get to them. And ultimately, leading a way around the banking system and being able to save their have their savings, whether it's gold or anything else. And that's one thing that I've seen a trend, sort of a separate trend from all of the rest that we've been seeing, which is a lot of faith, which they shouldn't have, faith in this paper financial garbage system. Last but not least, I wanted to show you this. This is the best performing stock market I have seen in a while. I recommend all of those who are in the finance industry, all of you individuals, Jim Cramer, everybody else, you should be investing in this right here. What am I talking about? It's in the top corner there. Venezuela's stock market. You want to make money? Well, why not just pour all of your savings into the Venezuela stock market, which has risen dramatically. I mean, that's what we're chasing after, right? We're chasing after an increase in the stock market. So why not invest in one that has performed extremely well? In fact, you can see that back in 2014, or let's even take from 2012, where it is, I can't even read it, but approximately 0, and then approaches 15,000 today. You could have made so much money, so why not invest? Or is it the fact that the currency is being devalued at such a dramatic level and it's actually showing up in their stock markets? This is the failure of QE. This is the failure of government intervention, where you can see directly right in front of your eyes everything that will happen in a country near you. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. If you found the video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found this video informative, I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. Head over to Amazon, where they have a look inside feature that will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Take care. If you're still here, you are a true fan of the Money GPS. You've heard me rant and rave today. Thank you to each and every single one of you. Thank you to all those who have supported me over the years. Thank you to those who support me through Patreon donations, through PayPal donations, through Bitcoin donations, through your comments, through your thumbs up, through your emails, everything. I truly appreciate everything. So I know I don't say it every video. I don't want to bore everybody every time, but I assure you, I really do appreciate it. Thank you.